It's been over 10 years since Disney bought Star Wars for $4 billion. Since then, they've put out 5 films and numerous TV series, both cartoon and live action, video games, comics, a theme park, and of course, merchandising galore. And it's all just content. Sure, anything can be content, but what I'm getting at is that the vast majority of new Star Wars material put out by Disney simply has no soul to it. It has a dead eyed stare firmly fixed on your pocketbook. Star Wars has lost its soul because its soul was George Lucas. Now, George Lucas was not perfect, and he, like all of us, was at his best when he collaborated with others. He was not a one man show, but Star Wars was unmistakably his brainchild, his vision. Disney, the last few years, has peddled this term Skywalker saga to describe the 9 main cinematic releases. I think this label is misleading and, frankly, aggravating. It allows the sequel trilogy to stand with the previous films as if they were always meant to. In reality, the Disney trilogy is completely disjointed, not only within itself, but from the other films. The new characters it creates are either never explored thoroughly or are very derivative. The previous characters it brings back, it so misunderstands that it might as well have used entirely different characters anyway. This is not my Luke Skywalker. In fact, the sequel trilogy destroys the raison d'etre of Anakin Skywalker, a character it hardly even mentions. That's how deep the treachery of these films run. To have them be under the same umbrella as the Lucas 6 is silly, because in the history of the franchise, the biggest demarcation that will ever be made is that of before and after Disney bought Star Wars. Now, I'm not going to pretend like there haven't been some good things in Star Wars recently. You could argue this is mainly due to the continued presence of Lucas disciples like Dave Filoni within Lucasfilm, and not anything Disney brought to the table itself. But then there's Rogue One. I like that movie, even though it doesn't need to exist either. But its characters seem grounded, and it understands Star Wars more than the 4 other Disney films. I know that's a low bar. I need to clarify what I mean when I say it didn't need to exist. Obviously, no creative work needs to exist, but I think there should be a reason for a piece of art's existence other than monetary gain. For the Lucas 6, I think that comes through even, and perhaps especially, during the worst moments of Attack of the Clones.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here.
It's clear that the person who made this had something they wanted to say. There's a clear vision and a purpose to these films, even if you dislike them.
You know, we're fighting the largest empire in the world.
Right.
And we're just a bunch of hayseeds in coonskin hats who don't know nothing.
That's right.
And it was the same thing with the Vietnamese.
Yep.
The irony of that one is in both of those, the little guys won.
I can't even find a purpose for the Disney films. That's why their existence is pointless. Sure, the obvious reason keeps coming up, money. But was there another reason? I highly doubt it. If Disney didn't want to make money, they simply wouldn't make Star Wars films. George Lucas tried to make the first Star Wars film before he had funding, and when many believed it would be an economic loss if it was funded. That illustrates the difference. So, where do we go from here? As I said, I'll probably continue to check out what projects Filoni puts out with ever-decreasing passive interest. But, and here's my idea, we don't need to go anywhere. All stories, especially the good ones, have to end at some point. If you are truly interested in what happens after Return of the Jedi, I'd point you in the direction of Legends and books like Heir to the Empire. George Lucas apparently had ideas for a sequel trilogy as well, but Disney didn't want to hear them. For me, though, I think that Return of the Jedi is a fine ending. The character arcs of all characters in the only 6 movies are complete.
And it's meant to be seen 1 through 6. So I think when you watch the actual movie in order, the story will become very clear that Anakin is the chosen one.
You refer to the prophecy of the one who will bring balance to the Force. You believe it's this boy?
And even when Anakin turns into Darth Vader, he is still the chosen one. The prophecy is that Anakin will bring balance to the Force and destroy the Sith. He becomes Darth Vader. Darth Vader does become the hero. Darth Vader does destroy the Sith, meaning himself and the Emperor. He does it because he is redeemed by his son.
The best parts have been said, and I doubt anyone will add an adequate addendum.